Hello, my name is James Preston. I'm one of the pastors here at Kingswood Church. We have campuses in Buffalo Grove and Deerfield, and I'm lead pastor and also campus pastor at Buffalo Grove. Today, I want to welcome Jim Seymour, chair of Stewardship Team for both campuses, for our whole church, to have a discussion, an important discussion around why is it important to give and why do we pledge and why is stewardship important and what does it mean? Because we think this might be helpful to you as we work to change the world through our faithful giving and our faithful leadership. So welcome, Jim. We're so glad you're here today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, especially for folks who are new and may not know you.
Right. Yeah, thanks. So I'm Jim Seymour. I came here with my wife, Marcia, and daughter, Jordan, about 9 years ago. Can't believe it's already been almost a decade. I'm an electrical engineer. I work for a family business called eBlocks that makes fun educational toys that teach STEM to our youth and hopefully encourages them to pursue STEM careers. Marcia is a special ed teacher, which is very challenging, but also very rewarding in giving her love and teaching and caring to those in special needs. And Jordan's a senior now at Stevenson High School, believe it or not, flying to colleges and interested in the biology science area. And, she always loved animals, so it's a great area for her. We love as a family doing things together, going to movies, going to plays and stuff like that. We're also big sports fans, me in the Chicago area, rooting for my Chicago sports team. Marcia is from Boston. She lived 12 years in Boston. And so she became a Boston fan, and her team has done a little bit better than mine over the years. But I think this is the year for the Bears. That's why I'm wearing the Bears 4-0. So let's see. We'll dream big, which remember that, dream big for later. But we're also, have strong faith. We've always been involved in the church over the years. And, we've always felt that we're blessed. And so loving God and doing his work and giving to others is important to us. And that's why it's such a great fit here at Kingswood.
Well, good. I remember when you guys came and you and Marcia have really become involved. Tell me, how did you become involved? How did you become active? What led you to that, right?
Yeah. So I'll always remember the first day that I came here because the services here are just so inspiring. Sometimes we don't even realize how inspiring they are because like last year I brought a friend here and after the service they're like, wow, are these services always this amazing? And I'm like, well, yeah, they kind of are. And, it's because your staff does such a great job of picking topics, for the sermon series. You and Pastor Clayton do an amazing job of giving the message. We have to save 5 minutes at the end just for announcements because of all the amazing things we're doing here at the church. And the music ministry, that's an important part. I love music. I love doing karaoke. I love singing in worship. It's an important part of worship for me. And, the chancel choir, the Kingsmen were just amazing that day that I came here, as well as the other music ministries, the Alleluias, all the great work that Felicia's done here. It's really amazing. And so I knew I wanted to be part of that. And then after a few years, you invited me to be part of the Raise the Roof campaign, which was an amazing experience. I mean, not only to get to know better some of the leaders and people part of that team, but also to just see the amazing generosity of the people at Kingswood in a time of need. I mean, to raise $1 million in one single campaign, some people would say that's impossible, but it was possible here at Kingswood, which is simply amazing. And so I knew after that I wanted to become even more involved. And so you said, well, guess what? I guess we need some help in the stewardship team. And I'm like, well, guess what? I'm not a money person, but I guess anything's possible with God. So I became part of that team, and now I'm chairing it. And, it must have been a great fit because I've been doing it for like 5 to 6 years now, and it's still a ton of fun. And I love doing it every time stewardship season comes about. So it really worked out well.
Yeah, well, you have been an amazing leader for the stewardship team, and it is a fun and very faithful and effective team. So tell me a little bit about that. What is the stewardship team responsible for here at Kingswood, and how do you lead as the stewardship chairperson?
Yeah. So stewardship here at Kingswood is something we practice year-round, but we focus on it particularly during the month of October with a 4-week stewardship campaign. And that campaign is really to talk about the importance of stewardship, and at the end of it, on Commitment Sunday, make our financial pledges for the 2025 year here at Kingswood to support all of our great ministries. And so preparing for that campaign is a big job, okay? We have to pick a theme, okay, get that theme ready, prepare letters to go out discussing the theme, prepare the pledge card, get witnesses, e-devotion, people to talk about how the theme, is a part of their life and how stewardship is important. We have to get the church ready for the altar setting, prepare for the Commitment Sunday celebration, prepare videos for worship. There's all kinds of things that need to get done. And now with 2 campuses, it's even more work.
Right.
Fortunately, we have an amazing team of people that, are not only highly talented, but hard workers, very generous. And we've actually added 2 more members from the Deerfield campus. So now we have 3 people on the team from there. So the team is growing, and it does just such an amazing job. My job is to just make sure everything gets done successfully and on time, and to help out wherever areas, we might be slipping back on. But, it's been just another amazing experience, a great team, and so glad to be part of something that's an important part of what makes it possible to do all the ministries and missions here at Kingswood.
Yeah, and I thank you for your leadership, and thanks to the team. They really
Absolutely.
are great. I think the question that prompts out of all of that is, here you're doing all this work and all of this intentionality about stewardship, but for you personally as a follower of Christ and a part of Kingswood, what does stewardship mean for you? What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So I actually looked up stewardship in Webster Dictionary, and one of the definitions is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. And I really love that definition, because if I just take out that something entrusted to one's care and put in God's blessings that he's given to us, and gifts and blessings, then it's the careful and responsible management of the gifts and blessings that God's given to us. And to me, that's what stewardship is, God's given us blessings, and it's important for us to love God and give back our time, our talents, and our treasures to do his work and to help others. And that's what really means, stewardship means to me. And so, I'm active, giving of my time here at the church, as you mentioned, part of stewardship, also part of, supporting the endowment team, the finance team, being on the choir. But also in everyday life, when I walk out of here, it's important to still practice stewardship. I can say I was at a trade show this year where I got my booth all set up early, and I was like ready to go home and play golf, and I noticed our rep had 3 booths she needed to get ready. And I'm like, oh, well, what Jesus would do would help her, right? And so I helped her build all the boots and stuff, and so and it feels good.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
That's what stewardship is as you walk out of this building, and also giving of your talents. I feel God has given me some talents. Gives everybody talents.
Right.
In my case, I feel maybe it's being able to sing. At least the chancel choir hasn't kicked me out since I joined. So I try to use that talent. I've been a manager in most of my business career, so I try to use those leadership and organizational skills on the stewardship team. And also I took a personality test, and it told me I was a supine melancholy. And supine actually means serving and giving to others.
Wow, fascinating.
And so that I guess has been another one of the talents that God has given me, and that makes it easy to be here and do all the great things at Kingswood on the stewardship team. So
that's great. Yeah, servanthood is important, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Yeah, and you have a great leadership example of that in every way that you lead.
Thank you.
So a lot of times when we're doing stewardship, we're talking about being generous, responding to God's abundance in our lives. And one of the things we invite people to do in October especially, or to new members, is to pledge, to make a pledge, a financial commitment, certainly a prayer commitment, a service commitment, a worship commitment, a witness commitment. But we say we'd like for you to make a financial commitment, a part of this responding to God's abundance.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about what that's like and why pledging is so important to our life together?
Absolutely. It's a great question, and it's a challenging one, because I do believe that, the financial pledge that we make to the church is sort of a commitment between myself and God, and Marcia and I and God, really. And, so you can ask the question, why do we need to fill out a pledge card and send it in? In my case, I find it is helpful to write that out and, have that commitment that, I have a budget. Okay, I have to pay the electric bill, I have to pay, the internet bill, all that. And, I have to pledge and pay, to the church for all of the great worship and things that happen here. And so for me, it's helpful to have that sort of written down and put in. But you could still do that in your budget and spreadsheet without sending in a commitment card. I can understand that, and that's okay. But there is another reason that's very important, which is that the church has a responsibility of being a good steward, okay, with all of the great gifts and blessings that the people here give to the church. And so what that means is, we need to have an estimate for 2025 in this case of, the financial resources that we're going to have. And if we see that maybe it's less than what we already have, we might have to make some tough decisions about the ministries and missions we do. If we see that it's a lot more than what we have, it's also very important to be planning on what more we can do to serve God. Okay? It's equally important and be very irresponsible to have all that money and do nothing with it. Okay?
Right.
So it's very important to get that estimate of what it's going to look like for next year. And fortunately, we have a finance team that's led up by Sue Gordon with significant support from Joel Ahrens, our trustee, and Larry Johnson, who manages all our finances. And that's what that team does. It creates a whole budget for Kingswood with all of the resources that were given, mostly through the pledges, but also through things like the auction and any interest we make on investments from our capital and stuff like that. And then looks at all the expenses. I mean, we have to pay the electric bill here. We have to pay for cooling because it's 100 degrees outside right now. And for the music ministries and all of that. And most importantly, for all the missions and ministries that we do here. And we hopefully can, give as much to that as possible. And so that's why it's important to get those pledges in and understand what we can do and plan for those missions and ministries. And so, certainly if you're giving a pledge, we encourage you to submit that pledge card because it really is the most important part to help the church be a good steward and plan for next year.
Yeah, and I agree that the commitment card helps the finance team know where we're headed.
Exactly.
Right. Good. Well, with all that good news, and that's very helpful to help me think again why I do the same thing. I do a commitment or pledge card as well. What's the theme this year in 24-25, and what are the goals, and what are you excited about for this year's stewardship campaign?
Yeah, so this year the theme is Change the World, okay? A lifestyle of generous giving. And I'm really excited about this. This is a fresh new theme this year. It's exciting because, we've talked about how there's, a lot of hate in the world. There's a lot of divisiveness. There's a lot of people in need, homeless people worrying where their next meal is going to come from. A lot of brokenness in the world. And oftentimes it can seem overwhelming and like there's nothing we can do about it. Well, this stewardship campaign really challenges that, to say that we can actually change the world. And it gives some examples that are really cool, like Neil Armstrong, taking the first step on the moon, one small step for man, one huge leap for mankind. And the Wright brothers, who, are given credit as building and flying the first airplane. And then Jesus, in terms of feeding the mass of 5,000 with just 2 loaves of bread. What do all those things have in common? Most people thought it was impossible. Right? But it was possible. It just takes, a few individuals or a small team that, has focus and a vision and dreams big, and those things can be accomplished. And for stewardship season this year, it's about taking one small step towards helping to change the world, focus on loving God and helping our neighbors and those in need, and dreaming big, okay? If we dream big, anything is possible with God. And so I definitely encourage everyone this stewardship season, to be generous in your pledges. We're working with the leadership team to come up with some new and exciting missions and ministries that can hopefully change the world. And so be generous with your pledges. Let's give according to our blessings, and let's go out there and change the world, Kingswood.
Amen. Amen. Jim, thank you. It is an exciting time. We're grateful for the stewardship team. We hope this interview has been helpful to you, to inspire you to see where God's leading in your generous offerings and gifts. Because indeed, as Jim said, let's change the world.
Amen.
Amen.